Hi, I'm Matt Young, and I am an instructor here at Durango Martial Arts. I've been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the past almost 19 years. I'm a first degree black belt, and today I'm going to show you guys some techniques to get out of side control and some of a system that I've been working on for the past few years to help myself get out of side control and help my students. So I'm going to show a system for escaping side control that I've been working on for the past couple of years. Started working on this is just because side control is such a frustrating position for so many people. It's one of the hardest positions for a lot of people to escape from, and it can be a very demoralizing position. It can get you really exhausted. Also, a lot of submissions your opponent can set up from there. So what I want to do is I want to just look at a few ways that we can start to stop the person from climbing up our body. And then if they do manage to climb up our body, how we're going to guard ourselves against, number one, submissions, number two, becoming exhausted. The first position that we'll look at is this position. I'm going to have a knee underneath my opponent's stomach, and I'm going to have my other arm underneath my knee. I'm going to be framing his arm down. Then I'm going to take my other hand here, and this arm is going to be framing across my opponent's collarbone and blocking his shoulder, just like this. And then I'm going to be using my other foot here. I'm going to be keeping myself from getting tilted flat on my back or being pushed to the other side. So this is the first position in the system, and this is kind of where we're going to try and get to a lot of the time, is this position. Because once we're in this position, it's hard for our opponent to get past around our knee or into side control. So I'm here, even with an opponent with a lot of pressure on me, he's putting a lot of pressure on me. Okay, he's trying to pass. It's really hard. Okay? He's feeling pressure from my arm here, and if he can't get his arm around my head or his shoulder to my body, he won't be able to finish his pass. So oftentimes what you see is people trying to stop the pass by blocking the opponent's hips. And then their opponent manages to get around their head, and now they're in a battle kind of strength. The opponent pulling themselves around, okay? Or what will happen is they'll try to get an underhook or an overhook. They'll be blocking their opponent's arms, but this shoulder manages to go on my body. And if he can push this shoulder on my body, it's really hard for me to move. He can put weight on me and pin me down. So we're stopping these two things. The other thing that we're going to be trying to do is we're trying to make sure that our elbow and our knee don't open up, because to finish his pass, he needs to get inside of my elbow and my knee. Okay, he needs to get inside here in order to control my torso. So I'm keeping my elbow and my knee connected like this. Just like this. And we're going to be pushing him downwards, kind of with our frame. Right, just like this. Again, our opponent is going to be on all fours. He's not putting a lot of weight on me. So we get to this position, we're going to push, and we're just going to square back up. Square back up like we normally, a lot of people have seen this before, just square back up. So we just want to be able to go from this position. He's going to try and drop down on me. I'm able to block the collarbone and the shoulder. I'm able to block that arm from reaching around my head, using my foot, and I can just shrimp and square back up. Okay? We could do this from when after we've escaped side control or as the person's passing our guard. So go ahead. We're going to block the arm and the shoulder. We're going to stay on our side, and we're going to make sure that he can't get our head, he can't flatten us out, and he can't get in between our knee and our elbow. Just like that, and then we're going to square back up. So we're here. Again, our opponent drops in on us. We're going to block the arm, block the shoulder. He drives in even harder. Now, when he drives in harder, he creates a space here. I'm going to put my butterfly hook in, and then I'm going to pull myself back to my guard. My opponent might try to run around here. When he tries to run around, we can put our butterfly hook in and square ourselves back up using our butterfly hook. On the other side, he drops in. I'm blocking his shoulder and his arm. Maybe my leg is in, maybe not. But he wants to try to run around. He's going to try and drive in and run around. That makes the space to put my hook in and back to my guard. The next thing we want to look at is if our opponent is able to get past our knee and they start climbing up us. So our opponent gets past the knee. This is where we want to frame with our forearms. What we're going to do is we're going to press our forearm here, again blocking the shoulder and the collarbone, and we're going to press our forearm here against our hip. All right, and notice that I'm not grabbing with my hands. I'm kind of opening. I'm kind of driving with this edge of my forearm from my pinky all the way down. What that does is it just lets me open. I don't get focused on grabbing my opponent. I'm just gonna keep my frames open. Okay? So once I'm here, my goal is to keep him low on me. In order to continue attacking me, what my opponent needs to do is he needs to climb up my body. So if he can move up my body and get his chest on my chest, get around my head, now this is where he's gonna be able to attack me because he's got weight pinning my shoulders down, and that's gonna allow him to open up my arm. It's gonna allow him to open up my neck. So we're gonna be here and we're gonna be blocking his hips, and we're gonna be blocking his shoulders, just like this. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our knee on the other side, turn it, and we're gonna kind of pinch it between our forearm and our knee. Okay, just like that. We're gonna have our knee drive against it. Now, I wanna try to find space. So if there's a little space here, notice that Kevin is on one hip. He's in like a keisakatame type of pin. I'm gonna put my knee against his back. I'm just gonna use my elbow. I'm just gonna drive my knee towards the mat. I'm gonna kind of point my knee towards the mat, and then I can bring my knee through. And then, same thing, we're gonna square back up. So again, we're here. And I'm able to just tilt my hip a little bit, get my knee through. Now, if my opponent, notice that I'm framing on his hip, not his arm. If he reaches up, he's gonna get my head. He's gonna start trying to pull himself in. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pummel that arm off my head. Now we're back to position one completely. He doesn't have my head and he can't grab it. And then we can square back up. We always have to square back up, of course, once we get to a position like this, when we have our opponent's weight held off of us, we can control the distance. We can start to attack submissions and arms and necks as well. Kevin could be here. He could also square it to his knees. If he's on his knees, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to keep him down. I'm going to bring my knee here against his hip. I'm going to lift my foot higher than my knee, just like this. So this is going to help me scoop underneath it. If my opponent's really tight, we can just keep our knee against their hip, and we're gonna wait for what feels like the right moment, when they shift their weight. And then our knee comes back in, and he's holding my head. I'm gonna go from his hip and get that arm off of my head. And now, again, we can square back up. So, we wanna keep our opponents low on our hip, because they want to climb up us. Oftentimes what we see people doing in side control is we see them trying to push their opponent up off of me. But this doesn't help me get back to my guard. And it's tiring. He's going to lean his weight on me. Ugh. So really what I need to remember is that I need to push him down my body towards my feet. So if I could keep pushing Kevin downwards, the bottoms of my feet is where I want him. That's where I can hold him. I don't want him straight up here above me. I want him down here where I can be on my back and kick him away with the bottoms of my feet. So again, we're here, we're opening our arms. We're not balling up with our arms here. We're starting to open our arms. I think of it like you're doing like 2 karate chops with your whole forearm. Boom, like that. Knee against the hip. And again, when our opponent shifts their weight, we're able to slip our knee back in. If he's trying to use his grip around our head, we got to pummel that off and push that arm off. And now we're safe. What happens if he starts climbing up my body more? So here, and he manages to get his chest up to my chest. Now, most of the time, and I see this a lot, where the jiu-jitsu guy will just keep his forearms here and just try to like push or hold the other person off of him. The problem with this is with his chest pinning mine, he's got a lot of weight on me, and then he can start to pry my elbows up. He could pry it into an Americana. He could pry it into a head and arm choke. He can do a lot of different things. So it's not necessarily safe. And I can't push him down here very easily. When he's grabbed around my head, he's got this underhook, I can't push him down very easily. If I start losing this battle and he starts moving up my body, what we're gonna do is we're gonna circle our hand and we're gonna hug across our ribs like this so that our arm can't be exposed, our wrist can't be exposed. And then, keep lining up, we're gonna try and circle our hand in between his cross face and our cheek. Just like this. We're gonna turn on our side a little bit. And then we can start to move our hand up our head, breaking this control the crossface up. So you notice once my finger like gets above my forehead, this crossface starts to become really weak. So what this does as well is it guards my ribs. So my ribs are where that pressure and side control is gonna feel the greatest. It's not so bad here. And the reason is he's not putting weight on my lungs. I can still breathe. He moves up my body. Here, I'm trying to frame. Notice that my arms are open. His chest is on my ribs. He can start to deflate my lungs with his weight. And I can't breathe. And that's gonna make me really tired. Now, if I notice that he's gonna climb up to my chest, I'm going to circle my hand in, and then now, he's trying to squeeze as hard as he can, but I'm guarding my ribs. With my arms here, my ribs are protected. Okay, so all that weight is gonna be deflected off of my ribs. And then whenever I shrug my shoulder, turn on my side a little bit, it takes even more weight off of my ribs. I'm more holding him a little bit on my side. Okay? Big mistake people will make is they turn too much on their side. So if I turn too much on my side here too early, Kevin is going to spin around in my back. And he can start to get a seatbelt position. And this is really dangerous. We don't want to allow our opponent to get a seatbelt on us. So we don't fully expose our back. We're here and we just lift our back an inch or two off the mat. And that's going to make sure that if he does try to spin around, he doesn't have anywhere to go to. If I just drop my back, and start going back to my framing position. What happens if my opponent does climb up to my chest? I've held him off. I've held off my ribs. I've held off the cross face. What happens whenever we're here? Okay? Two things might happen. Number one, he might try to hold our shoulders down. And if he's pushing weight into our shoulders, it's time to use our underhook. We're gonna take our arm that's across our ribs, we're gonna punch it up. And then start to come up with an underhook. Oftentimes, I see people reach their underhook down too early and leave it out. Two problems. Again, my ribs are open. So if I just try to reach my underhook out, my opponent can start to pressure my ribs, and then he can start to use his arms to pin my arm to my side. Pin my arm to my side, and now he's going into reverse case katame where he can attack my arm. With more attacks, we can start to attack the mount. So by going too early with the underhook, so I'm here and I just see, oh, I have an underhook, and I'm just gonna sit here and hold the underhook, I've exposed my arm too early. And now it becomes a target for my opponent. Yes, exactly. So, whenever we're here, we're gonna keep our underhook curled around our body. When he drives into us, when we feel like the timing's right, that's when we shoot the underhook. And it's gonna be a big bump, and then try to get to his hip instead of leaving the underhook out for too long. So, if I'm here, notice that the point of the underhook is that my shoulder, as I reach my shoulder, bumps his weight off of me. So by extending my arm, this part of my shoulder bumps his weight off of me. So when it bumps his weight off of me, I can't allow him to try to get his weight back on me or get his base back. So whenever I'm here, he doesn't have any grips on me, no overhook, no underhook. And whenever he's driving into me, that means when I bump his weight, he's gonna fall forward. And then that's gonna allow me to come up and take the back. So here, now he could try to hold our hips because maybe he feels like our hips are the problem. So he's gonna try to hold our hips down. So he's gonna try to get lower on our body. As soon as he gets lower on the body, we're back to this position. You notice that this time instead, I had my hand inside, I'm able to pin his arm back. My knee comes in, over my arm, and we're back to position number one. So let's look at our positions again. We have our frame here against the shoulder and the arm. We have our frame here when he gets around the knee, and he's low on our body, here, blocking the hip, or we could block the arm if we're lucky. And then we have the frame here when he's all the way up on our chest. So he climbs up, and we get to the frame here, and he's up on our chest. And here's where we're gonna either get back to the position we were at before or use our underhook. The last position that our opponent might try and get to on us to hold us down is gonna be north-south. He's gonna feel like he doesn't have any options here. He's gonna go to north-south. He's gonna try and drive me flat, just like this. And pinning my shoulders under his chest. So, when he starts to go around to north-south, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we get our frames inside, and we're gonna try to bring our knees inside, just like this. So we're pinching his arm down into our knee, or into our shin, and then we're using our leg here to keep his weight off. If he tries to drive any weight on us, we have a lot of control. We can push his shoulders. If he tries to pull back towards his heels, we can spin back to our guard. So, one more time, that's when he's climbed all the way up us. He's above our heads. We're gonna use this frame where we're framing above our head. So again, he's here. I try to be here, but he gets around my knee. Boom, I'm gonna try and keep him low on my hips. He climbs up to my chest. I'm gonna try to keep him right here. I'm just gonna defend right here, but if he moves around through my head, I'm gonna block him. I'm gonna bring my knees in. Just like that. Now he's kind of pulling back, so I'm gonna spin back to my guard. So, these are kind of the four main positions that we wanna deal with in side control. So it's whenever we have just that one knee in, whenever they're low on our hips, whenever they're up on our chest, and whenever they go north-south. And then we want to be able to just guard our arms and our ribs and deflect their weight. Awesome.
Cool, man. Yeah, perfect. That's it. Thank you, bud.